and welcome back to my channel, everyone. I hope you're doing really well. Welcome back to week 5 of the Seek, Gather and Create challenge. This week we needed to find a bird, so I've got this little old cigarette card. We needed to find paint blobs, so now I came across this old paint palette, so paper palette, and these are oil paints, so when I was doing an oil painting, and they're dried, so I thought I could use them in some way for my paint blobs. Next we had to find something with holes, so I've got this punched paper here with lots of different patterns, so I'm going to use that. We needed to find squares, and I pulled out some postage stamps that are a square size. I did find these ones which are actually rectangle, but I like them because they've got birds on them, so I thought I'd use them as well. And then the last thing is some tape, and I decided to use my own washi tape which I've made just using masking tape which I've decorated and just stuck onto a plastic sheet here. So this one took me a while, so I have sped it up. I'm going to be working in this box. I thought I'd do a box piece today. I haven't done one of those for ages and ages, so like I say, I've sped it up just because it would have been a really long video otherwise. I'm starting with some matte medium, and I'm sticking in my postage stamps into the background for a bit of background collage to incorporate those squares. Now, just for those of you that are unaware, the Seek, Gather and Create challenge is a challenge that I run over on Instagram with Tina, Mel, Laura and Jenna, and I'll link them all down below. And each week we post 5 items, a scavenger hunt for you to find and make a piece of artwork using those 5. Anything that you want. This is the final week for the summer. All very sad. I really like this challenge, and it's always a bit sad when it comes to an end. But feel free to head back and just go back over the 5 weeks and take part. That's absolutely fine, and make sure you use the hashtag Seek, Gather and Create so that we can take a look at your work. So there you can see I just gessoed around the brown box and a little over the postage stamps just to blend them together, and now I'm ripping out some of these paint blobs that I chose 4, and I'm just playing around with where I'm going to place them. I'm just going to use them like collage, really. I'm pulling out some of this punched paper as well to incorporate somehow at the same time. So I'm just auditioning things around and seeing where I like them, and then I'm just going to use some Fabri-Tac glue just to stick those down, and the paint blobs stuck down fine. And I'm just using the same for the punched paper. And I really liked actually choosing this pink, and that's with the yellow stamps. I thought that worked really well and kind of set the tone for the rest of the piece. Just blending a little bit more with some gesso, as you see. And now I am picking out those 2 colours in watercolours. So a little bit of pink, and I'll use a little bit of yellow in a second. Just adding some and then spraying it and moving the box around, letting them move and drip and drizzle into the background. Okay, so I'm absolutely loving how the background is looking already with those colours, just giving it a dry. And now I'm going to bring out my tape, and I decided to use this to decorate the sides of the box. So I'm just going to go round and just stick it around the edges. So that is all. That's 4 items already that used, everything except the bird, although I suppose I did have birds on those stamps, so you know, just using a bit of that tape as well to do some of the inside edges and just put some here and there. And it worked because the tape happened to be lots of pinks and yellows. It wasn't quite wide enough, unfortunately, to cover the whole box, so I'm just having to go and just cut some down to do the very bottom edge. I could have painted it, but I was liking the tape, and I wanted it all to be all to be the same. So that's what I'm doing here, just cutting it in half. I have to say that the work that's being created by everyone taking part has just been absolutely astounding. And you should head over to Instagram if you get a moment and just check out the hashtag seekgathercreate and have a look, because it's just been absolutely amazing, really wonderful. Just putting some gesso around the edge to highlight it a little bit. And now I've got my awl and I'm just stamping some holes top and bottom, and I needed it to be as wide as that little bird piece, which you'll see why in a minute. So I'm just using that as a gauge. Now this is the bit that really took some doing. It was fiddly, it was so fiddly, but I got there in the end. So you can see punched holes top and bottom, and then off camera I've done the bottom edge and of both the bird and the box as well. Now threading my needle, which was an absolute pain. I couldn't get it to thread, and now I'm just trying to loosely, very loosely, thread the bird on, going through the holes, so going up through the hole, back down and through the little bird picture. Now what I realized halfway through was that I put too many holes in the bird, so it wasn't sitting straight. So I get to about here and then realise, take it all out again, and then I decide I have to do it again, but I have to skip every other hole on the bird just to make sure that it was equally spaced. And it's fine, it works out well in the end, but yeah, like I say, it was fiddly. So now I'm just skipping, doing the same, so I'm going up and then back through, and I'm making sure, I went wrong there as well. Oh dear. That I'm holding the bird down so that I'm keeping those threads loose and where I want them to be as I'm working away. I ran out of thread. Honestly, this was the fiddliest thing, but it worked, and I'm really, really pleased that I did it, because it did work really well in the end. Okay, so I'm about to just tie that top off. There we go, and then this is where it sort of comes together, because I'm now going to do the same on the bottom, but because I've already got the top threads, like all I'm doing now is pulling it tight. Again, skipping every other hole, but it's a lot easier just because now I'm just sewing it in place, as it were. It's a little bit wonky, but I think that in the end adds to it. It's fine. There we go. So tying that off and sighing, huge sigh of relief, because I've managed to get it done. Honestly, that took ages. And now I'm just playing around to see if I want any more of this punched paper on, and I decide I do, because I think it just creates kind of a really nice 3D element that you've got some in the background and then some floating on the top there, sticking it down directly onto the thread. And nearly there. All it needs now is some words. So I went into my old book and I found some words, and I decided to stick some underneath at the back, just going through those threads, and then one little phrase on the bird itself, and here we are. So it says, "She turned and the birds rose in a black cloud, all except one." And I really, really love how this one came together. It took time and patience, but I managed to get all the pieces. So the bird, the punched holy squares, paint blobs, and the tape. So that is it. Week 5 done. Seek and Gather Create done for the summer. We'll be back in the winter, so look out for us then. And a big thank you to everyone who took part.